All right, welcome to Smokey Reacts. Actually, I've told a lie. This is Smokey Approved Korea. It's 6:15 in the morning. And we are testing out the new microphone that I've gotten. It is a wireless microphone lavalier setup. I'm not going to say the company's name quite yet because the videos I'm doing currently are not part of the contract. I just been testing it out to see if I like it for doing reactions and how you guys feel the audio comes out when I do these. But we are now trying to do catch up, and I also need to make an announcement. We're doing catch up on what has happened since the whole fiasco in South Korea, but also I need to make the announcement that I move in less than 24 hours. So instead of trying to rush and do good music reactions, we're going to just continue the BT21 series and then also giggle videos, and I think I might have enough time for one, maybe two Boris City Magazine videos. But please put in your giggle reaction that you would like to see me do, because that's what I feel like I have the time for and the mental capacity for, because I'm moving and it is a very big step in my life currently, and I'm actually stressed out and I still need to learn. I have a music video shoot on Monday and Wednesday of next week, and I still need to learn the 3 songs for my show on the 21st. And I've not learned a single lyric from those at all, so my brain is stressed to the max. However, still want to get some content out for you guys and to kind of update you on what I'm going through, and I figured this would be the best way to do so, to let you guys know. But yeah, thank you for joining me. If you could please hit that like, subscribe, Patreon's in the description. We are 247 subs away from hitting the 20K I'm trying to hit by the end of the year. So if you have subbed already, thank you. If this is your first time ever seeing my channel and you haven't subbed and you do like what you see, please hit that sub. Help a brother out. We've got a whole bunch of new music as well in the description if you want to check out my music and help me on that side of things. There's a PayPal donation link as well if you want to help a brother on that side. And I believe that covers everything. Well, no, the PayPal link is like if you go to the homepage of my page. It's not in the actual description. Maybe I should put it there to make it simple, but I don't know. My brain's fried, and it's 6:15 in the morning, and I've got 2 more videos I need to do before I go to sleep. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, and let's get into this. South Korea, most unexpected plot twist ever. That's the video we're watching. Again, shout out to Mujin for putting this together.
Guys, I cannot express to you the shock that I felt when I saw the news that came out of South Korea today. This image you're seeing right here will go down as one of the most iconic images in recent South Korean politics, but for all the wrong reasons. What just happened is as crazy as the martial law order from just a few days ago. I'd even argue it's crazier.
I know that he he doesn't get found for treason or whatever, and I'm gonna say before hearing the details on why, technically based off of how the laws and powers are set up for the president, he didn't break any. Did he utilize a power that some seem overreaching? Sure, but he didn't break any, and he then confirmed whatever the people that get the vote that he needed to confirm on, he confirmed their vote afterwards. So technically he didn't break any rule that he wasn't allowed to actually utilize. This is why I feel like he was found to not be treasonous, if that's the case. If not, I have no idea why this boy's not in jail.
We have to talk about it, so let's do this. So a few days ago, the South Korean president decided to impose martial law without any announcements prior at 10:30 p.m. He ordered the military to block off the National Assembly because it was the only way to lift the martial law. He tried his best to do a full military mobilization with even helicopters flying above. But thanks to many protesters coming out very late at night, going up against the military, and 190 legislators from the National Assembly showing up to vote, the martial law was lifted. What did the president have to say about this? Well, he was very sorry for causing anxiety with his declaration of martial law. He basically said, whoopsies, and left. Like, what? This wasn't something he could just get away with, though. This was the first instance of martial law in over 40 years. And even worse, once it was lifted, It turned out that he had ordered the arrest of the opposing party leader, as well as his own party leader, the dude leading his own party in the National Assembly. Like, things were not making any sense. He pretty much wanted everyone arrested. And I mean, to many, this did sound like a coup, an attempt at taking absolute power. But get this, the next day, the president's political party held an emergency meeting to discuss this, to try to understand the logic behind this martial law that they had never heard of until its announcement. And they actually had this theory that the reason he declared martial law was because he was lonely and needed a friend to talk to. Dude, what are South Korea?
Lock that nigga up. Whoever allowed for this level of ineptitude, just like what is happening, at least how I feel politically in my country, this level of compliance when there are people of such power running things that can actually hurt people, you're a fucking criminal and you should be put in fucking jail. Like, he was lonely and needed a friend to talk to. You put that in the newspapers, an official fucking quote. You should be put in fucking jail.
Korean politics. Like, what are we doing here? What is this? Now, even though he wanted to arrest his own party leader, his apology contained a contradictory piece of information that he was trying to convey to the South Korean people. He said, "I'll leave it up to my party to take steps to stabilize the political situation in the future, including the issue of my term in office," promising there would be no second attempt to impose martial law. So zero intention of stepping down as president, instead saying, you know what, my party's gonna handle it, just forget I exist. But it doesn't work that way. He can just wake up 6 months or 12 months from now and decide, you know what, I'm president again, obey me. So it's no surprise that the opposing party wanted to impeach him as soon as possible, expecting his own party to turn on him so that they can vote for the impeachment as well. And while the president promised that he wasn't going to impose martial law for a second time, some legislators were not going to take any risk like this one from the opposing party, literally sleeping in the National Assembly so he doesn't get caught by surprise like the first time. It's crazy. I asked the question again, what the hell are South Korean politics? Like, what is this? Regardless of the fact that a legislator was literally sleeping in the National Assembly, December 7th had finally arrived. This was it. The legislators were about to meet up to vote to impeach the president. And even though the weather was 0 degrees Celsius, thousands of people had shown up to stand in front of the National Assembly to show their support for the impeachment of the president. Look at this crazy amount of people. It's staggering. It was clear. This is what South Koreans wanted. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't that simple. I spoke about this in my previous video. This is how the National Assembly is divided in South Korea in terms of parties. There are 300 seats total. So the red is the People Power Party. This is the party of the president. The blue, which is the majority, is the Democratic Party. This is the opposing party who has tried to impeach the president over 22 times, even before the martial law coup. And the other colors you see here are the other parties that were voted in, sometimes having 1 seat or 3 seats, for example. The Democratic Party had an agreement with those smaller parties. They were going to be allies and vote together on the impeachment of the president. But there was one problem. There were only 192 members. In order for a bill to pass, 2/3 of the people present in the National Assembly need to vote yes. Impeachment, though, is an exception where it needs a minimum of 200, period. Doesn't matter if you show up or not. This meant that the Democratic Party, as well as the smaller parties, needed to rely on a few backstabbing votes in the People Power Party to go against their own president in order to achieve the 200 vote threshold to impeach him. In theory, this should be simple because the president wanted to arrest his own party leader. But of course, nothing is ever simple in politics. The party leader of the People Power Party, Han Dong-hoon, who the president wanted arrested during the martial law order, had said that yes, the president is hopeless, he needs to step down, but didn't quite want to impeach him. He actually had a different idea. He wanted to strip all power from the president and get the prime minister to do his duties instead. This is obviously something unprecedented and something that the opposing party has called illegal, crazy. But the logic behind such a proposition is something we've seen over and over again in many countries throughout history. Han Dong-hoon and the People Power Party did not want to give up, well, their power. They're the governing party until 2027, until the president's current term ends.
Let's have the Republicans act. I don't give a fuck who's in power, especially how politics work in America. The president has very little domestic influence, I would have to say, until post, post LBJ, domestically, man really didn't have no, we'll say, domestic influence. And then George W. Bush and the Twin Tower situation happened, and there was a lot more domestic influence. However, post Obama, Donald Trump's domestic meddling has really fucked up shit at home. And that is where I'm like, the president to me was more of a outward facing leader and was dealing with geopolitics. Is kind of how I was seeing the whole situation work for president. Because voting down ticket, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, these cunts, these dickheads, they were the people that were fucking shit up at home. And people kept voting for these bastards, not setting fucking term limits or age restrictions on these motherfuckers and allowing them to make laws and shit and not paying attention. Like, people right now in America are going to lose fucking health care because they're fucking racist and they want to vote out Obamacare, not knowing that Obamacare is actually the medical insurance that you have now is a poor person. But because it has the face of a black person on it as their selling point, the Republicans are having you vote against your own self-interest. And this is what I feel the Republican Party is great at. Are the Democrats any better? No, they're all fucking shitbags. They're all fucking terrible. They're all terrible. But at least one side gave you fucking health care. The other side's tricking you to take it away from you. Like, it's ridiculous. However, the Republicans, they don't want to give up power. And they know that when they get a motherfucker in there like Donald Trump, some shit about to switch. It's about to switch. Just like here. They rather keep power than get rid of a nigga that they know is dirty. Lock all these niggas up.
Ends. And they simply don't want to give this up, even though, right, this dude was about to be arrested if the martial law wasn't stopped by the opposing party. He is still clinging on to power. This, of course, worried the Democratic Party that this vote wasn't going to pass, that he was going to order all his legislators to not show up to the vote. So they came up with a plan. The Democratic Party, instead of just voting on the bill of impeachment, was going to vote on another bill first. The prosecution of the First Lady of South Korea, the president's wife. Look, she's been in many scandals, okay? In the beginning of the year, she had a scandal where she had accepted a Dior bag from a pastor, which was pretty much bribery, according to the Democratic Party. But more recently, the Democrat...
How the fuck the pastor get Dior money? How the church running? We can't pay our bills. We got motherfuckers in the congregation can't pay for students of their children to go to college. All kinds of shit ain't getting paid for the sheep. But the shepherd got Dior money? Shut that motherfucker down. I thought my daddy was not in the house built by man. Am I the only person that's seen that passage in the Bible? I'm not even like religious like that. But just shit like that don't make no sense. We got super churches. But how you got a church that's super, but my daddy's not in the house built by man? I could have sworn in the Bible it says that actual prayer is supposed to be done between oneself, not with a group of motherfuckers. I could just be tripping, or just the text in the one that I got from when I was being subjugated with motherfucking Christianity. Maybe I'm just tripping.
Democratic Party alleges that she was involved in stock manipulation and election nomination interference. Some very serious level stuff. And unlike the whole Dior bag case where they wanted to assign 3 prosecutors, they wanted to assign 30 different prosecutors on this case. So obviously, if something like this passes, the People Power Party, let's just call them PPP from now on, is in big trouble. And their hopes and dreams of clinging on to power, even though their president did something extremely irresponsible, vanish. They had to show up and vote no on this bill. What the Democratic Party was going to do is that as soon as they voted no on this bill, they would immediately start the vote on the second bill, which was the impeachment of the president, forcing them to be there. This obviously sounds like a genius 5D chess move on paper, but was it actually going to work? It remained to be seen. But
it doesn't work because it feels like it is, but even if they abstain and you're still short of 200, them abstaining, they don't have to show up for either one of them, so you don't get either thing that you wanted to have happen. You didn't force me for the first vote, and you don't get me to be there to vote for the second thing, because you still don't have the numbers.
One thing was for certain, many South Koreans were on the streets. And not just any South Koreans, right? You had all sorts of South Koreans, like straight up idols who usually remain apolitical, show up to protest this. You had people from all sorts of economic backgrounds, all sorts of different neighborhoods, all coming to protest in their own way. I mean, just look at this. Seriously, look at this. Someone recreated the head of the president and is slapping it with a hammer. Some dude just showed up with a baguette, like just a straight up baguette. Again, what is South Korea? These protests even spread to Japan. It wasn't just a South Korean thing. This had spread worldwide. Everyone was hoping that a leader like this gets held accountable, not just for the sake of the South Korean people, but for the sake of their democratic systems. A lot was riding on this, and it was almost time. As expected by the Democratic Party and its allies, the PPP had shown up because of the first bill against the First Lady. Okay, everyone was in place. There were no absentees. But as I mentioned earlier, this plan looked good on paper. Reality was about to be very different. The vote to prosecute the First Lady was actually extremely close, only missing 2 votes to reach 200, which meant that 6 different legislators from the PPP party, from the president's own party, voted to prosecute the First Lady. And yes, while the vote failed, it was expected. However, it gave people hope. Okay, like if there's 6 people going up against the president already, they must vote to impeach him, right? Well, as you can see from this image, as soon as the first vote ended, the second vote started, and every single PPP member except for 3 all stood up and left the room. This is an image of the National Assembly hallway, and here you can see some of the PPP legislators that stood up and left being shouted at in protest by the people there. They were in disbelief over what had just happened. The Democratic Party didn't just let this slide. They all stood up and started calling each individual name of the PPP legislators that had decided to leave the National Assembly. Watch.
권영세 의원, 권영진 의원, 김건 의원, 김기웅 의원.
They were not going to let them go away without shaming them, each and every single one of them. But even after doing so, none of them came back, right? The vote.
This is where I feel nationalism and identity politics fall apart, because you should be so national for your country, whatever it is. Nationalism to me, I don't think is bad. You should be so national for your country that to see somebody have a power position like this and to see them walk out on a vote that they should have to do, they are choosing to not do their job, to flout the power that they have, to maintain the power that they have. You should be so nationalist that you would never, ever think to vote for these people. However, identity politics and parasocial relationships, these people do what they're going to do, and they're still going to get voted for the people that voted for them before. And that is the sad part about this. There's a level of tribalism inside of politics that I just don't find an understanding for, because I don't give a fuck who it is. Like, let's take Donald Trump as an example. Terrible fucking person. But if he was actually doing the job the right way, taking care of people, making positive change that would be helpful, not just for fucking rich people, or positive change that actually was formative, that would be great for future generations, I don't give a fuck what party that man's a part of. He needs the job. But is that what actually happens? Fuck no. This is why I'm just like, this is sad to see. This is sad to see. But it's not something that really surprises me, because since Trump and Putin had been in power, and in power at the same time, people seeing that you can be apathetic to the job while keeping the job has been shown. And this is what happens. You have people that run countries like this.
Had officially failed. And the Democratic Party legislators, as well as their allies, had also begun to leave the National Assembly. When the news of the impeachment failing started circulating, this was the reaction of the thousands of protesters sitting in freezing weather outside. Watch.
You're gonna see, you see this blue beanie right here in front of them. The person's gonna put their hand on top of their head. That is the feeling that, like, it speaks volumes.
자, 대표팀장, 제2역, 예. 대통령 윤석열 탄핵소추안을 상정합니다.
Obviously, they weren't happy. Look, the reality is that, according to Gallup Korea, the president's approval rating has plummeted down to 13%, dude. That's insane. That means that almost 9 out of 10 South Koreans are going to tell you that they want this president out, impeached.
How the fuck is it not at 0? Who the fuck was asked whether or not you still rock with this nigga and said yes? That's crazy.
Placed. This means that, objectively speaking, the legislators not voting to impeach him are going directly against what the South Korean people want. The opposing party was not going to let this slide. On the official National Assembly Twitter account, here's what they had to say in a statement posted recently. They said, "It is very regrettable that a vote was not even held on such an important national issue." They said the failure to vote on this issue means that the democratic procedure for judging whether something is good or not failed. I'm paraphrasing since this translation is really bad. And then they said, "On behalf of the National Assembly, I apologize to the people." Shortly afterwards, the floor leader of the PPP resigned. He's being accused of having colluded with the president in declaring martial law. He was aware of it, unlike most other people. The Democratic Party is not going to let this go away. They're already planning the next vote to impeach the president, starting as early as next week. And many South Koreans are not giving up anytime soon because this had actually happened back in 2016. Back then, the first female South Korean president was accused of corruption and extortion. And even though the proof was on the table, it was well known, it took weeks to impeach her, multiple votes, and millions of protesters showing up every single week to the National Assembly.
How's like, why we not voting every day, Monday through Friday? Let's run it back. Let's run it back. I'm not upset. Let's run it back every fucking day, because I'm a dog with a bone and I ain't letting this motherfucker go. How come we can't do it every day? Can somebody explain to me, based off Korean politics, why we not voting every day? Like, why?
Assembly. Many are hoping that with enough protest, the same thing happens with this president, and that it takes, of course, less time. If the president's impeached, there will be a new election that will be held within 60 days to find a new president. And I think it's safe to say that if there is an election, the PPP will have a very hard time winning. Thanks so much for watching the video till the end, guys, and thank you so much for your recent support. This is yet again another all-nighter, and I'll probably update you if the impeachment goes through. Otherwise, expect other videos coming, well, pretty damn soon. Thanks so much. I love you so much. Mwah.
All right. Yeah, I've said what I said. We don't typically cover politics on this channel. I also don't typically divulge how I think of politics, because it honestly doesn't fucking matter. I'm just some cunt with the microphone telling people what I think. But my political theory, thought, and position has no bearing. I wish everybody to become a educated electorate and actually take the time to understand how your own individual governments work and how you can influence them past just what you see on the internet or just what base politics roll across your fucking timeline. So please take everything I have to say with a grain of salt. However, I felt this was very important for me to cover and follow up with, because of the work that we do following the, we'll say, the music that happens in South Korea. So that's why we were doing this. I seen that this had happened, and from not my guess in the beginning, which was completely wrong, just niggas is corrupt. We're seeing corruption in real time because niggas want to hold on to power, because niggas is shifty, grimy bastards. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Thank you guys for joining me. If you could please hit that like, subscribe, Patreon's in the description. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out of here.